My friends, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join me here on Facebook Live. I'm Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life, the largest pro-life organization in the Catholic Church focused exclusively on bringing an end to abortion. And I'm speaking to you today from our New York headquarters on Staten Island. And I want to talk to you today about a milestone that our nation reaches tomorrow. That is the completion of the first 100 days of the presidency of Donald Trump, and the progress that he has made so far as our president. We are focusing, of course, specifically on the progress that he's made in the arena of pro-life. And when I say pro-life, I'm not talking about a wide range of 50 or 60 different issues. I'm speaking something very specific that we focus on here at Priests for Life, and that is the urgent need, to restore protection to children in the womb who will lack in the law the recognition of their most fundamental right, which is life itself. This is the problem we're focused on solving, and this is the kind of president we need to solve it. I'm here to tell you today that we at Priests for Life, and I personally, are tremendously grateful to President Trump and his administration, the team that he has put together, for all that they have said and done in just this short period of time to advance the cause of the protection of unborn children from the violence of abortion. We are extremely pleased. First of all, when many people after the election said to me, well, he campaigned as a pro-life candidate, now let's see if he's going to do any good things for the pro-life movement. As I have been pointing out to people all along, he has already done the greatest thing for the pro-life movement, which is to keep Hillary Clinton out of the White House. Had she been elected, had the Democratic Party come into power in the presidential administration, the cause of child killing would have been far, far advanced by now. And I wouldn't be surprised if Planned Parenthood would have been made an agency of the federal government by now. Let's make no mistake about it. A great, great victory was made already for the pro-life cause simply by defeating Hillary Clinton and her Democratic team, which are, as evidenced by recent comments from the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, more and more entrenched in abortion on demand and more insisting that everyone in the Democratic regime be of that same mind. Here, on the other hand, we have a president who has stated in no uncertain terms his pro-life convictions. I've had the privilege of interacting with him and those close to him over the course of the campaign, the transition, and now the administration. And I have always only been encouraged by the kind of conversations I have had and the commitment I have seen on the part of this president, on the part of this administration, to work to restore protection to the most vulnerable children in the human family. Yes, he is committed to this. Yes, he is sincere. And yes, he is consistent. He is fulfilling his promises. And I just want to review some of the progress that we are so grateful for and that we want to commend to you, brothers and sisters, as a motive for continuing to support this administration, continuing to work side by side with this administration to bring America back to the protection of our youngest children. First and foremost, as I mentioned, the defeat of Hillary Clinton is a great victory for the pro-life movement. Secondly, a new pro-life Supreme Court Justice, Justice Neil Gorsuch, is confirmed to the Supreme Court. President Trump promised during the campaign that he would nominate to the federal bench those who are pro-life, and he fulfilled that promise by nominating Neil Gorsuch, and the Senate confirmed this nominee. So now we have a man on the Supreme Court that I am very confident we can trust to make the kind of decisions that will show that a so-called right to abortion is nowhere to be found in the Constitution. In fact, is nowhere to be found in the ideals of the United States of America. Now, the president has taken a number of executive actions to advance the cause of life. And one of them, right away upon being inaugurated, one of the steps he took, which we expected, was the reinstitution of the Mexico City policy. What this means is that the United States will no longer fund organizations or agencies that perform or promote abortion overseas. Now, this policy has gone back and forth like a ping pong ball, depending on whether the presidential administration has been pro-life or pro-abortion ever since the time of President Reagan. But what this essentially does is it takes away from the International Planned Parenthood Federation some $100 million, because this is an agency that promotes and performs abortion overseas. I've been at international meetings where representatives of countries from Africa, for example, stand up in these meetings insulted, incensed, that countries like the United States would make it a requirement before giving them health or education or other kinds of social help. Would connect to that the condition that these countries allow the killing of their children by abortion. It's totally outrageous. It's totally uncalled for. And so no money is going to go to agencies that promote or perform abortions overseas. The president actually not only reinstated that policy, he extended it so that now this prohibition applies to other federal agencies right across the board. So we're very, very grateful for that. Another similar kind of action was to take funding away from the UNFPA, the United Nations Population Fund. And the reason why he said no more money going in that direction either is because of the connection of the UNFPA to China's forced abortion policy. And that actually is in violation of federal law to be collaborating with and funding entities that are involved in those kind of coercive programs. A number of other things that the president did. Of course, the president nominates judges. The president can carry out executive orders. And then, of course, the president signs legislation. And House Joint Resolution 43, passed by the House and by the Senate, was signed by President Trump. And what this does is it allows states to divert their money away from Planned Parenthood to other health care agencies. And so let's put that on this list as well. Joint House Resolution 43, states can defund Planned Parenthood. You would think that states would be able to do that if they so choose, and in fact they have been able to do that, except that just before leaving office, President Obama said that they couldn't. As a parting gift to Planned Parenthood, if you will, he said to the states, you cannot divert money away from this organization. President Trump came right back and said, no, the states do have the freedom to do that. And we saw dramatically the involvement of Vice President Pence in this measure when the Senate was voting on it, because both the vote to take the measure to a vote and then the vote on the measure itself were split in the Senate 50-50. And of course, in that case, the role of the vice president is to cast the tie-breaking vote, and he did so that day both times in favor of life. And brothers and sisters, this was tremendous. Speaking of Vice President Pence, of course, he appeared both through his own desire and through the desire of President Trump. He appeared and he spoke at the National March for Life in Washington, D.C. That was just 1 week after the inauguration. And by doing so, he not only gave a signal to the pro-life movement of the support of this administration for the cause of the lives of the unborn, but he gave that same message to the whole nation and indeed to the whole world. Now, this is not all of the pro-life accomplishments of this administration, because we know full well that as many different processes continue to unfold in the administration, we have the president taking the right position, advocating for the right position. For example, We know that he is in favor of the measure to end all taxpayer funding of abortion, and the House of Representatives during these first 100 days, in fact, voted for that measure, no taxpayer funding for abortion. And then we also have seen, of course, the initial attempt to pass the health care reform, which, of course, we'll come back and do again. But both in the initial version and in the new version, we do have the defunding of Planned Parenthood. And the president has steadfastly expressed, and he has reiterated publicly, his position that as long as Planned Parenthood continues to kill babies by abortion, it should not receive federal funds. And we know that the president will be faithful to that commitment, and he will indeed sign into law the defunding of Planned Parenthood. It will be in the health care bill, and even if it appears as a separate measure, we know that he will be behind it. We are grateful for that. We are grateful to this administration. As I think you know, I've been privileged to serve on advisory committees during the course of the campaign, the transition, and now in the administration, both in terms of Catholic advisory groups and the pro-life advisory group. And my experience consistently has been that this administration listens, seeks advice, seeks input, and makes us who are Catholic and pro-life feel very, very welcome. Now, we know that the president has promised other things in the pro-life arena. He's going to be nominating a lot of judges, not only to the Supreme Court. There will be more vacancies, maybe sometime in these coming months, but also to the other federal courts. They're going to be pro-life men and women. Not only that, but we know that certain pieces of legislation will also be coming out of Congress of particular importance to us at Priests for Life and in the pro-life movement generally, is the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act that will protect babies from 20 weeks of pregnancy forward because of the fact that they do feel pain in the womb, and a related piece of legislation which protects babies from dismemberment abortion. We're very confident of the president's signature on those bills when they reach his desk, and we're going to see, believe me, tremendous progress in the coming months. This is just the first 100 days that have been completed now. We're going to see many more periods of 100 days in what I hope will be not just one term, but 2 terms of this pro-life president. And that's something we need to be working on together, even starting now. Let's expand the pro-life majorities that we have through the midterm elections, and then let's have another successful presidential election 2 years after that, as we have had in 2016. Now, if you go to priestsforlife.org, you're going to see a document that summarizes the things I've said here today, showing the pro-life progress of these first 100 days. Go there and you'll see a document that you can download, print, share, email, put on social media, and so forth. There's one other matter that I want to mention because, well, 2 other matters actually. Again, legislative promises of this administration. First of all, the president has spoken very, very clearly about religious freedom. And as you know, Priests for Life was one of the very first organizations to launch a federal lawsuit against the so-called HHS mandate, the contraceptive abortifacient mandate that tells us that in our health insurance policies that we offer to our employees, and we employ some 50 people, that we need to include coverage for abortion-inducing drugs, contraceptives, sterilization, counseling about these things. We refuse to pave the way or lend any assistance to anybody who's going to do something that we teach that people should not do. It's not about the right of the employees to seek that coverage. It's about the right of us, the employers, to conduct our affairs according to our own faith. And we should never feel that we have to choose between following our faith and following the law. Well, we have never allowed that kind of choice. We're always going to follow our faith. But the fact of the matter is, this is a lawsuit that's been going on since 2012. We were the 4th organization in the country to challenge this mandate, and dozens and dozens of others have come on since that time. We were one of the cases that went all the way up to the Supreme Court, together with 6 other cases, one of which was the Little Sisters of the Poor, as you have heard a lot about, but they're not the only organization involved in this mandate. This mandate involves virtually every employer in the United States, and again, dozens of them that have actually launched federal lawsuits. 7 of them reached the Supreme Court. There are many others still in the lower courts. The reason I'm bringing this up now, I want to express complete confidence in the president's commitment to religious liberty and the commitment of his team to religious liberty and to getting rid of this unjust intrusion on religious liberty called the HHS mandate. There have been some people raising questions about how come this is not getting done already. Remember, some of the people in the transition are still just coming into their positions. Transition takes a long time. This is not an overnight thing. It's not even a 100-day thing. Transition is still going on. People are getting to learn their positions. People are getting to learn the issues connected with their particular offices. Of course it takes time. We're having discussions with the government, as the Supreme Court asked us to have, as these cases are still unresolved, but we are definitely moving in the right direction. And we definitely have a presidential administration committed to religious freedom. Part of that commitment to religious freedom is also another piece of legislation that we're working on and that we look forward to making progress, and that is to get rid of the harmful effects of what is called the Johnson Amendment, this restriction on the speech of churches and organizations like Priests for Life when it comes to political matters. Anyone who says that the church or a priest cannot be free to speak their mind in regard to politics understands neither politics nor religion nor the United States of America. We're simply not going to stand for it anymore. We are going to change this law that intrudes upon the freedom of those ordained to preach the Word of God to do exactly that. Impedes that freedom, and we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to say, listen, if a church doesn't want to speak about a political matter, it should be the decision of the church, not of the government. And pastors shouldn't feel that they have to be afraid of crossing some kind of legal line by saying to their people, whether in the pulpit or in the church bulletin or anywhere else, what they believe those people need to hear in order to know and to live the Word of God. So we're thankful for the President's clear message that the Johnson Amendment has got to go and that churches should be free to speak their mind on political matters. You know, the Church herself says that. The Catholic Church in the Second Vatican Council, in Gaudium et Spes, the Pastoral Constitution on the Church in the Modern World, says that the Church at all times should be free to spread her teachings among men, and that this means that she should be able to comment and pass moral judgment even on matters relating to politics when the salvation of souls or the fundamental rights of men require it. So this is a constant teaching of the Church, and it's a constant teaching of the United States of America in our tradition and in our Supreme Court rulings, that political discourse in this country needs to be robust and uninhibited. Well, it can't be robust and uninhibited if it's being inhibited by the government. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Trump administration. Thank you, brothers and sisters who work in this administration, for the goals that the church shares, for the values that America is based on, for the basic principle of civilization that we can't kill babies. And thank you, brothers and sisters, who elected our president. We need to do it again. And we need to elect more public servants who know the difference between serving the public and killing the public. You can be absolutely sure I will never be silent about these things. Neither will any of us at Priests for Life be silenced or intimidated for standing up for what America needs now, the kind of leadership we need in America. We're going to speak up for it. We're going to help bring it about. And then as we elect these men and women, we're going to work side by side with them through thick and thin to reach these goals. I know you're with us. Let me continue to hear from you. And thank you for sharing this video. Thank you for signing up for the notifications so that you can join us when I'm in Facebook Live. And thank you for signing up for our action alerts, which if you haven't done so yet, those few of you out there who haven't yet done so, go to stopabortionnow.org, stopabortionnow.org, and you'll be able to see the action we need you to take, whether it's, in fact, there's an action alert we sent out today asking you to do what I'm doing on this video, namely, thank President Trump for all the accomplishments of these first 100 days in so many arenas, But I'm focusing, of course, on the arena of abortion and the protection of the unborn. We're sending out an action alert today telling you the number to call, the message to leave to the White House to express your gratitude. So go to stopabortionnow.org, sign up for those alerts. Together, my friends, we're going to reach our goal. We're going to end abortion in America and throughout the world. Thank you for your commitment to that and your assistance and partnership with all of us at Priests for Life. We're praying for you. We love you. God bless you. And we'll talk to you soon. I'm Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life.